Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh Uthman, please, we need to respond appropriately. First of all, alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ba'd. It's my honor and privilege to be invited. I want to first acknowledge Maulana Sahil Wadi and his amazing team for extending this kind invitation for me to come to Cape Town. Although sheepishly, I'll admit, all I've seen is the inside of a hotel room for the past day and a half. But alhamdulillah, I am standing right now. So bear with me if my voice is not the best. Alhamdulillah, first of all, again, thank you, Maulana, for giving us the opportunity. Thank you for all the esteemed guests who have spoken ahead of me. I will admit that it is always a challenge when I share the stage with someone like Dr. Uthman Maqbool, mashallah. I've learned so much from him. I've been inspired by him, and to speak ahead of him actually is not the right protocol. But hopefully he'll forgive me for that. What I've noticed today, and I've traveled to South Africa just once before earlier this year, in Durban and in Johannesburg, Joburg as you call it, is mashallah the passion for the work. And subhanallah, when Maulana Suhail mentioned that we have a summit, Firaaz, I'd like you to come to speak. I thought, what would I contribute to a summit like this, mashallah? You have a vibrant community, you have mashallah leaders, you've got, I know this Islamic Relief was here earlier, you've got the IHAHA, my dear brother is here, mashallah, I heard him speak earlier. We've got some incredible organizations, of course. Dr. Uthman from Action for Humanity, one of our partners, of course. So many others. And then it dawned on me as I've been listening to everyone speak today, and this is, I guess, from the wisdom of Maulana Suhail, why he invited me, is everyone's been talking about the power of collaboration. We were just recently, we were invited for the United Nations General Assembly in New York City, which is generally a crazy place for anyone who's been to New York, but during Unga Week, it is beyond explanation. And one of the events that we had was hosted by Accenture, which is one of the top 5 consulting firms on the planet. And they have a very deep relationship with UNHCR, and want to acknowledge and thank our brother Omar, I haven't met him yet, mashallah, for the great work that he's doing. UNHCR, again, one of Humanity's partners across the globe. But he led off by saying that the new leadership is partnership. The new leadership is partnership. Now, I realize this is Dr. Uthman's topic, but what I want to speak about, the elements of partnership is we may have the right intentions and we may have the resources to get things done, but we don't really have the right system in place to make it happen, to make it efficient, to make it successful. And I was really impressed by what I've heard so far today, mashallah, that there is a deep commitment. There's, first of all, a recognition that we need to do better, and that we can do better through partnerships. And so what I wanted to share a little bit of today is just our perspective on doing that, inshallah. And just by way of introduction, Humanity, for all intents and purposes, has only been around for about 4 years. I took on the role as executive director in December 2020. So I'm coming up to 4 years. I've lost a lot of hair, much like my dear Sheikh Uthman. But what we have been able to, mashallah, Maulana Suhail, is that we have been able to really work with like-minded partners and support them in ways that perhaps they're not able to. And so one of the things that you and I talked about when we first met earlier this year is every organization does something really well. Alhamdulillah, every organization does something well. We have, again, humbly, for me to be speaking with Dr. Amjad Saqib here in the audience, really. And the incredible thing that he has built, he's been singularly focused. An organization like Humanity is multi-focused. He's been singularly focused on really entrepreneurship, quite frankly, social entrepreneurship. And as a result of that, he mentioned earlier, over $1 billion have already been invested into the Pakistan economy. I visited the country twice, fell in love with the country. The food didn't like me as much, unfortunately. But, incredible work being done in Pakistan. So the reality of this, every organization has something to do very well. I think what Humanity, alhamdulillah, has been able to do in a very small way, albeit kind of Western focused in both in Canada and the US, is to be able to support NGOs and charities who are struggling with certain areas of their business. And one of the most obvious is that if I were to ask you a show of hands, how many organizations here have a budget for marketing, digital marketing, that type of stuff? By a show of hands, how many organizations have a budget? And just percentage-wise, Would this budget be anywhere close to 20% of your gross revenues, of your donations? Nowhere close, right? Subhanallah, right? The reality of it is that if you're going to be able to engage with a global audience of over 2 billion Muslims, you're going to need to spend a little money. Not everyone has the capacity for that, or even the heart for that. Alhamdulillah, this is where, as part of the DNA of humanity, we've built a platform that supports nonprofits globally, not just Western-based nonprofits, to get them to the table, so to speak, so they can have a global donor visibility to the work that they do. So we tell your stories on the web, and we tell it to the tune right now of donors in 155 countries. Alhamdulillah. That's because we had a focus on it. I remember Sheikh once saying, if you focus on something, it grows. So if you focus on your problems, it will grow. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you a lot more problems to focus on. And if you focus on what the barakah that Allah has given you, and you're grateful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you more to be grateful for and of. And so this is what my point today is. I just want, in a very short period of time, talk about the fact that for us to scale, for us to solve the global problems, and I'm hearing it here, this is no different, brothers and sisters, my respected elders and guests. Canada is a very small country. We're less than 40 million people. California is a bigger GDP than Canada. Well, let's be fair. California is like, top 10 GDP on the planet. But we're a small country. And yet we have some of the major Muslim charities in Canada because we have a very affluent, highly educated, and a very generous Muslim community of under 2 million people. And to get to the, 1.9 billion, 98 billion people, we need to be online, and not everyone has the capacity. And so if we come back to what our goals are, whatever your organization is trying to do, and, Omar was up here talking about, the challenges in Sudan, right? We need a political solution where? Sudan, Gaza, Lebanon, the list goes on and on. Yemen, yes, Muslim countries. There is that work that needs to be done. And quite frankly, our charity organization is not prepared for that. That's not our space. But if we want to focus on charity, and we want to focus on being able to respond, but to speak to Dr. Amjad's point, Dr. Amjad Zakib's point, is we also need to focus on development. And we have to pick a lane. And if we're very clear about our purpose, then we have to align with partners. We have to align with partners. And we have to build partners outside of our community. I'm not just talking about the Muslim community in South Africa. I'm talking about the community of givers. We had the fortune of, I had the pleasure actually of meeting with Dr. Nilady Pandor, who is well known to you, of course, somebody who's inspired so many of us across the globe. And the question was raised to her, why aren't we pushing that the issue in Gaza is a Muslim issue? It's a Muslim issue. This is what it should be. Why are we stepping away from that? And she beautifully said, while it may resonate with us as Muslims, know that what is happening to our brothers and sisters in Palestine, in Yemen, in Sudan, is a human rights issue. It's a human rights issue. And if it's a human rights issue, then you have 8 billion people you can count on. If it's a Muslim issue, maybe you can't even count on 2 billion Muslims now with the billah. Her point was that our causes must be aligned with the greater good. And if that is the case, then we must be open to partnering. And I'm sure, mashallah, my Sheikh Uthman will talk about partnerships and how to build strategic partnerships. But really what I want to emphasize is that we need to forget thinking outside of the box. There is no box when it comes to the believer. Like, there is no box, right, Sheikh? There's no box. We have to think critically about what is it that we're trying to solve. And I've said it so many times today with so many people I've met, mashallah. What is it that we're trying to solve? Are we actually trying to solve the water crisis? Or are we simply trying to dig more wells? Are we trying to, in Ramadan, sell as many $1,500 hand pumps? This is no disrespect to anybody in the room. I'm asking you, what is it that we're trying to solve? Because if we really want to solve the water crisis, then collectively, just as an NGO based here in South Africa, we should be able to come together and select the right kind of tech that is available to us today in the world to actually make a transformative difference in the water space. This is what Humanity does. We seek out opportunities globally to bring technology, innovation sustainable development practices to who? Not for the benefit of our organization, but to the benefit of those who are interested in making a change in the world. This is the notion of partnership. وَتَعَاوِنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوِنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. The Sheikh is here. Allahu Akbar. We are encouraged to support each other in goodness and in piety and in God-fearing. That's what we're encouraged to do. And so this work that we're doing is a calling, right? I mean, alhamdulillah, I left, many of us perhaps in the room, I left a wealth management world. I come from a world where helping people make a lot more money, Sheikh, than they need, to a world we don't have money. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought me here to remind me that whatever comes is from Allah. So my challenge to you, brothers and sisters, is seek out those opportunities outside of your Muslim community, outside of your areas of comfort. If your intention is clear about solving an issue, mashallah, Dr. Amjad Saqib and his team, they were very clear about their issue. They wanted to solve it, and look what they've done in a place like Pakistan. With all the challenges, and I've visited the country twice. I've traveled not the breadth and depth of the country, but quite a bit of the country. What they've been able to accomplish in such a short period of time is remarkable, not because of what they did, with all due respect, not because of what they did, but because what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted from their efforts. And we often think about what we can do. What can my organization do? What can Allah do? And as we reference Gaza, as many of you know, Brother Mansour, mashallah, my dear brother, is part of the Humaniti team, and he's here with me until Monday, inshallah. We're on our way to Turkey and to Syria. SubhanAllah, we will be asked about how we responded to things in this day and age. And so when we put our best foot forward, we put our best foot, make our intention, we put our best foot forward, and then it is in the hands of Allah. That's it, khalas, it's in Allah's hands. But we have to make sure that we have the right intention and the best effort and the plan. Planning is from our tradition, ya Sheikh. We have to plan. We just can't show up and say, okay, we're ready to work. SubhanAllah. So I'm going to wrap up by saying that I'm amazed by what I've seen in the room. I haven't had a chance to meet everyone. I hope, inshallah, that I will have the opportunity before the end of the evening to meet as many people as I can. Also want to acknowledge we have our board member from our US side, Brother Waleed Gabber, sitting, looking very dashingly, by the way, in the back of the room, who also heads our business development in the US. He's looking around for who I'm speaking about. And so the two of us are here with Brother Mansour. The reality of it is that if you are in need of support as an agency, whether it's in the digital marketing side, whether it's in the planning side, whether it's in the execution side, whether it's in the partner engagement side, you will find a helping hand in Humaniti, inshallah. I think Maulana Suhail knows this, mashallah. This is perhaps why he's invited me to come here today. But most importantly, I'm really inspired by the amazing people in the room today and the great work that's being done in South Africa. You have a beautiful country. You've really inspired all of us with the fight that you've taken to on behalf of our brothers and sisters in Gaza. And anything that we can do, inshallah, to reciprocate. I heard reciprocity mentioned earlier today. It'll be the honor for us. We are based in Toronto, headquarters, but we've got an office in Dallas, setting up in the UK. And it would be our honor and pleasure to be able to support in whatever way we can. I thank you once again, Maulana, for giving me this opportunity on stage with my Sheikh. Allah yabarak feek. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.